Well, hello, and welcome back to Today I Am Talking to. And today I am talking to the incredible singer, musician, all around amazing talent, Briana Maia.
Hi, Carly.
Oh my goodness, it's so exciting to talk to you. Genuinely so glad to have you here. Your background is amazing. Where are you?
I'm actually in my apartment. This is my studio at home.
That is the coolest at home studio I've ever seen.
Yeah, I got really lucky last year. I worked hard. I won't say lucky, but I think it was a big blessing. This company Audimute like sponsored the space. So all of this like soundproofing is by them and they sent my boyfriend and I this giant box of stuff and we now have really cool at-home studios.
Heck yeah. Oh my goodness. Literally every other at home studio I've seen has been like, and here's my closet. And I sit in this part of my closet when I record, which no shade. Honestly, I'm always like, wow, MacGyver it up. But that looks like the set of Phil of the future. And I mean, that is the highest compliment that there is.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I used to do the closet thing too, but I'm glad to have been able to graduate.
Absolutely. Well, you've been absolutely killing it. But just to jump in with like a fun question that I like to ask, especially musicians when they not enter, when they interview. That's how people say it. We're doing really well. But the artists today are always like, oh, I'm in my this era or it's the this era. If you were to describe what era you think you're in right now, what would it be?
And like my personal artistry,
Yes.
I would say this is like my transformation era.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I think you know. So Carly and I we know each other from school. Well, she was there after I was, but
It's
you
true.
know. I'm a little older, but um I feel like I transitioned from being an actor to a singer, and then I was a singer and I was going by Bree, and now I've changed my name to Briana Maia officially, and it feels like really like I feel like I'm starting over with a completely clean slate, which is very scary but exciting. So yeah, I feel like this is I'm transforming into like the best version of myself right now. I think.
That's so I believe it. That's so exciting. Do you think why can I ask why did you make the transition from Brie to Brianna, Maya?
There are so many reasons. I think the first thing that triggered the actual transition was I had a lot of I was having meetings in 2021 with a lot of like really cool artists and songwriters and producers, and every time we would talk about my name they were like, "So are you really going to stick with that?" And I was like, but I also had to really think about it outside of myself. And Bree, I spelled it like all caps B space R space I. It was so difficult to find on streaming platforms. I was just making my job a lot harder. And I also feel like I chose to be Bree because I thought Briana Maya was associated with a version of me that I was leaving behind. It can get really deep, but yeah. So Brianna Maya, I feel like is like the truest part of me. So I'm sticking with Brianna Maya now.
I love that. It totally encapsulates the whole transformation era.
Yeah,
And so something we'll definitely get to the acting background behind all of it. But what would you say is it has music always been something that you kind of had a feeling you might end up in, or was it kind of a left turn where you're like, oh, suddenly I'm just doing music?
I always I feel like I talk about this so often with people I know, but I always knew music was a part of me. Like always. I was writing songs when I was in like 3rd grade. Um and forever. I was always writing songs. I was always performing them in the mirror. But I don't know if you know my dad, he is a singer. He's like a very very popular singer out here. My grandfather and great uncles, they were in a music group back in the day. So there was a lot of pressure to like be once they knew I could sing, there was a lot of pressure for me to be like the next generation of Maya singers. And I did not want any part of it. I just was like, nope, I'm not good. I'm not like that good. I was very shy. So theater was like what I did thinking I was making my own path, but it ultimately led me back to music because everyone started putting me in musicals and I was like, "Ah, okay, I guess I'm a singer."
Like, fine. So theater for you was I always find it interesting when people from arts families are like, no, I'm going to strike out on my own and do a different art form.
Right. Like, girl, you still doing it.
Have there been a background in theater at all from your family beforehand? Or were they like, oh, this is new and different?
The theater was pretty new and different. Um, Always going to like musical shows, like, my dad singing or seeing people in concerts, but the theatrical format I think was new for my family. I have a very big, loud, like my family, we go hard, and I think theater it's such a different world than like screaming at a concert. So I think that was an adjustment and us like learning, but no one ever pushed back. They always believed in me and supported me like 100%.
Was your intention going into college like, no, I'm gonna try to go down a more strictly acting route, or were you by that time hoping to kind of combine the two worlds?
Going into college, I really just wanted to be an actor. I wanted to do like straight plays. I wanted to do Shakespeare. I mean, UConn. I went to UConn, and UConn is it's an acting program. It focuses on acting, and I knew that that's what I wanted. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. But when I was in the program, you know how it is. They always make us sing. They do one musical a year, and I remember when they found out I could sing, all of the not all of them, but a lot of the faculty and staff, they would kind of push me to do it, and I was still very shy. Like I did not want to. But even in like straight or regular plays, I found myself singing something. They always would be like, "Oh, Bree, can you sing this line? Oh, Bree, can you make up a little song for this moment?" So it just happened the way it was supposed to, I think.
Something you've brought up a few times now is you're like, I was a shy kid, I was shy, I didn't really want to sing, but you still found your way into theater, which is something I think does not get talked about a lot, but is a very common experience where everyone's like, oh, you're an actor, you're on stage, you must want all of the attention all the time. And it's like, it's actually not that. And I think there are a lot of actually very shy people that end up going into theater. So could you kind of speak to your experience with that?
It's such a hard thing to explain, and I don't think I really realized it until I started like really pursuing music. Um when I'm singing on stage and it's just me singing, especially if I'm singing my own music, that is like I feel like it's such a vulnerable part of yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like this little instrument is so tiny and so intricate. Um and it's yours. And acting, although I truly believe acting is like we have to bring ourselves to the work, right? Um and you have to be vulnerable, and you have to be able to access all those good full emotions. But I always felt like I had a bit of a mask when I was on stage because I got to dress up in a costume. I had like a disguise. So I can show myself, but then I could be like, "Oh, but that wasn't me. I was just acting." Um, Whereas singing, no, there's no mask at all. It's just me.
Totally. And no, I completely relate actually, because I've through stand-up comedy and stuff like that, which people who watch these interviews know that I do. With act, I always say that I was somebody who was supposed to be shy, but was met with a lifetime of theater. Because you end up on stage and you're like, you're kind of working with a team, you're not yourself, but then when you're up there doing something alone, it's this new level of kind of vulnerable, and it's very cute. And I've had people ask me, they're like, wait, so you can just be less awkward than this when you're acting? Because awkward in comedy is kind of my whole thing. I'm like, yeah, but like that isn't me, like that's the person I'm acting. So while you may see parts of it, there's still that level of you can kind of come out without ever actually coming out.
No, it's like you said, like you can show yourself without fully revealing yourself. Um, it's yeah. I love that you're doing stand up, by the way. Just wanted to shout you out real fast.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you so much. I think all your music is so cool. I listen to it all the time, and I watch all the segue, and then obviously we're gonna jump back here because there's just so much to say on this point. But I've been watching all these videos on your social media of dancers from everywhere doing these performances to your songs. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? Like, what's going on there? It's incredible.
It's so I love yo. Forever, I always loved dance. I think dance is one of those art forms that I'm like, oh my God, it's just so raw and vulnerable because like it's just their bodies. Like they are just storytelling with their bodies. So I've always loved dancers. And so to see all of these dancers um reacting to my music with their bodies and they listen to music in such a different way. Oh, it's been oh, it's been one of the like highlights of my year. But it really started. I'm like, how did it start? How did it start? Like I went to the Lab Creative Space. This is a dance studio in Meriden, Connecticut. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Weirdly, I have. I don't know why I've heard of it, but I've definitely heard of it before.
Yeah, like there was a choreographer there. Her name is Fabiana, and she was doing like a concept choreography class. And she called me. Well, she messaged me on Instagram because we didn't really know each other. But she was like, "Hey, I want to use your song. Would you come in and like perform with the dancers?" And I was terrified. But I showed up. It was a really like supportive space. The dancers are all so I don't know, they really go for it all the time. And they're really it's an open space. And I really like this. So I started just showing up there and now I get to work with the lab a lot and they support my music, which is awesome.
That is so cool. I similarly, I love watching people dance. I think it's largely because I just don't get how they get there, but watching it, I'm like, wow, you're all so cool.
Yeah, I think they're like the coolest people in the world.
It's true. Aside from Briana Maia, obviously everyone check her out. But you were asking specific to the dance, you're like, how did it start? How, using that same question to transition over, how, what was the moment that you were like, okay, we're actually going to do music? Because we've talked a lot about how you were resistant to dive fully into the music, to be like, nope, I'm a singer and I'm gonna join the family trade, which is a really cool family trade, by the way.
It is. Um the moment I would it was like 20 what year was this? It was a long time ago. 2016, I think. I was doing Dreamgirls in Syracuse. And I was cast as Dina Jones. And it was my first time being I was doing musicals pretty much all the time out of college. That was what I kept getting casting. But Dreamgirls was like the first one where I got like a really big, hefty, leading, singing role. And I was like, oh, I'm stressed. So I was doing that role, and I was playing like this, this pop star icon. Um, and while I was playing that role, I was called by Kelly Rowland. Do you know Kelly Rowland?
Yeah.
She was in Destiny's Child. She saw one of my videos on YouTube, and her team wanted to see me because they were putting together a girl group. So I was auditioning and like being called back for BET series Chasing Destiny with Kelly Rowland. So I auditioned and met her while in tech for Dreamgirl. So I flew into the city for a day, flew back, ran into tech, and then The Voice was messaging me at the same time, and they saw videos of me on YouTube, and I was putting like trash covers, like they were not good. I don't think, but people were finding them and messaging me, and I was like, I don't know. It just felt like music kept knocking at my door, and I was so, like, desperately knocking at theater's door, and it wasn't really happening the way I thought it would. So I was like, "I think I need to listen to what God and the universe is telling me and, follow this path." And it continues to show me that I'm on the right path with every single opportunity that comes up.
That is incredible. Like I've always been like, oh my god, Brianna's so cool. That story is insane. Like you got the universe all at once was literally like, hello, over here, please come here now.
Yeah. I was like, "Girl, you're not listening. You're not listening. You need to." And I knew it. Like, I felt like I had been running away from that part of me for so long. So, I was like, "Why don't I face it and see what happens?" And theater is always there. I always say theater and acting is, like, my first love, and it made me brave enough to do music. Um, but I think music is my, like, soulmate. So I gotta pursue that. I gotta pursue that girl.
Absolutely. Speaking of kind of like the theater and music, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you cast pre-pandemic? Like you were start doing more music stuff, but also cast in Little Shop of Horrors pre-pandemic. Am I right about that?
You are correct.
So is that something where you're still continuing to do theater alongside the music? Or are you trying to integrate them? Or was that I guess that's the end of my question.
Um, I still I miss theater so much. There are days where I'm just like, "Ooh, I just wanna do a monologue."
I
But,
get
Little Shop of Horrors, I don't even remember how that happened. I think Christopher Coffey was the music director on that, and I had kinda hooked him up with CRT, that theater. So I believe I'm trying to remember how this happened. I think he reached out to me about, like, auditioning, and I was like, "You know what? I'm here. I love CRT." Um, I've always wanted to do Little Shop of Horrors. I knew one of my friends was auditioning and he ended up getting in too. I was like, "Oh, this will be incredible. Let me go back and like stretch out, these theater legs." But then, a week into rehearsal, the pandemic happened.
what a fun story.
Great. But it's okay because I think the pandemic like is the time where I really really found my voice in music. So,
Totally. What was the pandemic like for you in terms of growth or creating things? Because I know you definitely did create a lot of work during the shutdown. So what was that like for you artistically?
artistically, the pandemic, although it was like, you know, hard in so many other ways, it was artistically the most productive, fulfilling. It was my best couple years of like artistry, I think. It was the first time I feel like I had space to just be an artist.
Yeah.
I never had that before. I was always um working too many jobs. I worked too many jobs because I was like, I need money because I gotta fund this big transition, all this equipment. Oh, girl. So I was working my butt off all the time, and I was like, I never had time to just create. So when the pandemic hit, I was like, all right, I got nothing else to do. Everybody's worrying about money. So I mean, I guess I can like stop for a second.
Yeah.
We were all in the same boat. So yeah. So the pandemic was my launching pad, I believe.
Totally. And it's so funny. I was having this conversation right before this our talk with someone else, and we were kind of saying the same thing where it's like, yes, there were so many, it was stressful, and it was stressful for different reasons. But as far as the time and space to create went, it was like, wait, I don't have to see anyone. There's nowhere I have to go. And you kind of have to release into the universe that it's like, what's going to happen is going to happen. So that means I actually have time to do the art I've been meaning to do because there's no excuse anymore.
I feel like artists we have such a hard balance because usually we're not making a lot of money doing what we do up front. Um, and yes, we book gigs and that's great and we make money for like 4 to 6 weeks and then we're back to like having to go to that hustle.
Mhm.
And then we're auditioning and then there was never any space. I feel like artists are always trying to find the balance of like working to support your dream and like actually chasing your dream. Um
And it's such a tricky balance to find because you're like, oh, I need the money to support the thing that I'm doing, but odds are the job that gives you the money to support the thing you're doing leaves you no time to do the thing you want to do.
None. You're burnt out.
Yes, and that's the other part of it. It has to be a job that's so like to truly, I mean, of course, there's also the element of whatever you're doing, you kind of have to stop making excuses for yourself and just be like, this is the reality, I'll find a way around it. But the complication becomes you can't also have something that's so brain numbing that you're dead when you get back. You can't also have something that's so exhausting that you're dead when you get back because then the art isn't as good anyway.
Yep. Yeah. It and I feel like that was always my problem. I could never find the space to just like fully invest into music. And even I mean the few months before the pandemic hit, I was a full-time artist with a very no, I did work. I did have a part-time job at Harvard Stage. Shout out Harvard Stage. Um but I was, singing on weekends. That was my bread and butter. But even that, which was fulfilling. I was doing what I wanted to do, but I was still tired because it was 3 to 4 hours a night of singing and then my voice was tired. And then I was like, I can't sing right. I can't sing into a microphone right now. So, yeah. Ooh, we have it hard, but I'm grateful. Shout out to the
So
pandemic for that.
absolutely no, I totally agree. And I also think that as we've talked about, we both came from like the UConn acting program, which is a program that so it's so excellent at really inspiring people to create their own work and gives them the tools to know how to develop their own work. So really when you graduate, it's not that you don't have the tools to do it, it's that you're just looking for the time. And then suddenly the pandemic gave this weird upside of just time. And it was like, fine, if you're going to do it, prove it.
That's a good point. I never even thought about. I love that how you said that about UConn. Like they teach us how to create our own work. I agree, girl.
Yay! Well, speaking of your own work, you said that during the pandemic, the main shutdown, that was kind of your launching pad. And now, most recently, you've come out with a single called Feel It. Uh, can you talk a little bit about this new 2022 release and also how do you feel your process or your sound has changed since you started or really since the shutdown?
Woo!
That's a multi-part question.
Oh, it's good. It's so good. I think so. Feel It was the first song out as Briana Maia. So I really wanted to make sure since I'm making this transition and I want to stand by what the transition means. The song needed to be the biggest, fullest version of myself. So yeah, Feel It is I think the song I keep saying to people that I feel like it's the song that kind of captures all of who I am. It's very like it has loony and like really quirky moments. It also has really like dark and vulnerable moments and everything in between. It's everywhere. It's so dynamic. And I think that's who I am as a artist and singer, but I've always um I didn't know how to release that. I thought that was weird. I was like, I'm a singer now. I gotta be cool. um, and so I wasn't singing with like my full voice. Even though I'm like, I did musicals. Like, girl, you better sing like you sang on that stage. So I think, yeah, Feel It is the first time I'm like, I'm using my whole voice. I'm using my whole self. Um, and the pandemic has led me there. I've been able to create with like the best of the best. I'm so grateful. I've had so many artists who have helped me like find my voice. So yeah, yeah, we're here now.
You want to name drop any of them? You like just free reign, you're welcome to, or you're like, no, I won't, and that's okay.
No, I have to. So working with Marinate, she's a singer, she's a songwriter, artist as well. Uh Many know her because she actually played Tamika in School of Rock back in the day.
Oh my gosh. That's
Uh,
incredible.
she's incredible, but we worked a lot, we wrote together a lot, and I feel like I was able to just working with another female artist was so useful to me, and, I just learned a lot from working with her. Gordy Max, he's the producer who is the producer of every song I've released since 2020. I met him in 2020 on the Voicey app. That's where I met Marinate too. And he always was challenging me and pushing me to go further. He's always like, "Don't hold back. Like, sing, sing." He's like, "You can sing, sing." um, so him, my boyfriend Daryl Ribeiro, who is my vocal engineer, who sits here and like will make sure my vocals sound the way they should. He makes me sing things over when they are not where they need to be. Yeah, I just have a really really good creative support team.
Yeah, we love to hear people that are like, I love the people I work with. Hooray. Also, you are so right. Your song, Feel It, is absolutely so dynamic. There's so much there. There's so much like nuance in it. As an artist, I feel like there's always this big pressure to be like, oh, but like, what's your brand? Who are you? What's like the perfect package that you go in? And I very much believe that the package can include like all these disparate sounds and like not disparate, but like that's what you have. Like it's so you are the thread that ties it all together. Was it has it been challenging to explain that to people? Or have there been like challenges in finding it? Or have there been no challenges and you were like, this is perfect and amazing, minute one? No wrong answers.
Oh no, no. There were I think that was my biggest challenge, especially because it was like I just like changed paths so aggressively. Like when I decided I'm doing music, I was like, I'm doing music, acting, I love you. I dropped my agent, like everything. It was just like, I'm doing this, which is awesome, but I really had no idea what I was doing. And I would work with people and a lot of people would tell me what they thought I should be as an artist. They'd be like, "Well, you have to like show your body," or, "Oh, well, since you look really innocent, so we have to make you like the bad girl." Like I've had so many people throw things at me, and because I was just a blank slate, I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, 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 yeah." It wasn't really until like these last 2 years that I was able to accept that I am I'm enough. I'm like, I've had everything happen to me and people have seen me because of what I do. So I don't have to like put any more mask on. I can just be myself. So if that's the girl who loves Pikachu and that's the girl who loves Pikachu, or you know what I mean? Like I can bring all those parts of me to the table.
Do you feel like that brings you a step closer to the theater world or a step farther away from it? Do you know what I mean? Because I know you were saying at first, earlier on when we were talking, and do you recall that theater is a way to like be up there and be performing and on stage, but still kind of hiding behind a mask in some way. But sometimes, uh, from personal experience, I found that when you first step outside of that world and you're like, oh, time to be myself, you end up being less yourself than you were to begin with. So then, like, coming back, you're like, wait, was I myself the whole time? I don't know.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm asking?
I get where you're going. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get where you're going. Um, I think as I get closer to myself, I am finding myself there's like a need for me to bring theater and yeah, to bring theater back into my work. Um, you're gonna be the first person I'm telling this to. So I guess I'm making an announcement
Yes. Woohoo.
on an album. I've been working on it for the past since like January. And it's titled Ingenue. Um, because I was like, okay, how can I now tie this background? Because it's such a core part of who I am. I cannot just like be like, oh, theater, goodbye. I can't do that. That's me doing the same thing I did when I pursued theater when I was like, music, goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, I have to bring all of the parts of me together. So theater, as I get closer to myself, because it was such a part of who I am, is now back on my lap. And even with music videos, I'm like, yes, I get to explore doing this again. Um, so I like that the worlds are all kind of coming together now. I feel like I'm getting closer.
Yay! Oh my gosh, we love that. Honestly, that's just such like an inspiring thing because you really have talked about how your whole journey so far, ergo transformation era, has been like, no, I'm not going to do music, to no, I'm not going to do theater, to being like, whoa, why do I keep saying no? Like, I'm going to do all of the things and be amazing, which you are. So like, good job. Yay. So final question before my asking you what you want to promote. Is there anything, what is a question randomly, doesn't have to be about music, theater, anything. What is something you wish more people would ask you about, but they never do?
I guess we talked about honestly what I think I wish more people would ask me about. I wish more people would ask me about my background in theater. I don't think a lot of my new fans even know that I have that background. I think, people who have been with me on this journey know. But most of my fans now are people who've found or discovered me in the last couple of years, and I don't think they know that part of me. So I wish more people would ask about that journey because it was its own beast of a journey.
We are closing out on time. Is there anything you want to promote? Shows, social media, music?
What do I want to promote? Ooh. My latest single, Feel It, which you mentioned, it's out now. It's available everywhere. Feel It by Briana Maia. Stream that, put it on repeat. If you have time to just leave it running somewhere, please do that. Anything you can do helps. Share with a friend too.
Amazing. Yeah. And then I guess we'll all keep an eye out for Ingenue whenever it comes out. Oh, this is so exciting. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you, Carly. I appreciate you asking me to do this.
Oh my gosh, of course. I was so excited. I'm like, yay, Briana said yes. I've been talking about it all week. It's been so exciting.
I appreciate you. You're the best.
You're the best.
Thanks for
watching.
Enstarz, please be
Sure.
to like, comment,
And
subscribe. Yay!